right, today we are diving into the deep end, the final, dark chapter of Shakespeare's sonnets. And let me tell you, this is not a story with a neat little bow at the end. Not even close. It's a raw psychological journey, a plunge into obsession and moral collapse that ends not in some quiet resolution, but in a final, brutal accounting. Yeah, this quote right here, it just nails it. This single sentence really sets the stage for everything that follows. A reckoning. That's not about forgiveness. It's about tallying up the debts, facing the music, confronting the consequences. This is the story of a love affair where the bill has finally and painfully come due. So where does this whole downward spiral begin? Well, you might think it would start with him feeling guilty, right? Some kind of self-reflection? Nope. It starts with accusation. His first move is to basically put his lover on trial in his own mind to prove that she has absolutely no right to judge him. And he gets right to it, essentially laying out their sins side by side. He's saying, okay, fine, my love for you is a sin, I get it, but you, your lips, the very ones you're using to condemn me, have sealed just as many false promises and broken just as many vows as mine have. It is the ultimate pot calling the kettle black moment. And there's actually a name for this tactic. It's a classical rhetorical fallacy called tu quo quo, which is just Latin for, you guessed it, you also. He's not trying to prove he's innocent here, he's just trying to prove that she's just as guilty, which means neither of them can claim the moral high ground. It's a complete stalemate. But that stalemate, that blame game, it can't last forever. Once the external argument is totally deadlocked, the conflict just implodes. It turns inward, shifting from a mental courtroom to a much, much more terrifying arena, the speaker's own soul. So what does that look like? Well, he literally recasts his two loves, the fair youth and the dark lady, as these universal forces of good and evil. He's got his better angel, the man, on one shoulder, and the worser spirit, the woman, on the other. And he's paranoid, convinced his female evil is corrupting his better angel, pulling him down into her hell. And then, bam, just when you're caught up in this angel versus devil drama, he drops it completely. He turns the camera inward and starts talking directly to his own soul, scolding it. He's basically yelling at himself for wasting so much energy on his body, which he calls this fading mansion that's just going to decay anyway. This spiritual crisis pretty quickly gives way to a complete mental breakdown. The speaker stops talking about sin and morality and starts diagnosing his love as a literal clinical madness. The obsession has officially become a disease. And he breaks down his condition with this chilling doctor-like precision. First, he identifies the disease. Love is a fever, and it makes him crave the very thing that's making him sick. Second, the physician. His own reason offered him a cure. But third, he, the patient, refused the medicine. And that leads to the final prognosis. Reason, the physician, has walked away. He is officially past cure. And just like that, the detached clinical analysis completely shatters. It collapses into this raw, devastating conclusion. He admits that all his oaths, all his beliefs about her beauty and goodness were a total delusion. He's finally confessing that he was swearing night was day. So, who's to blame for this delusion? He decides it's love itself. He personifies love as this cunning, manipulative force that's actively working against him. It's strategically using his own sorrow, his own tears, to physically blind him so he literally can't see her foul faults. And here's where he truly hits rock bottom. He moves on from diagnosing his madness to conducting a full, brutal audit of his own lies. The reckoning we talked about at the beginning, well, it's about to get very, very literal. He actually does the math. He tallies up the moral debt sheet and discovers, to his horror, that he's the one who's truly bankrupt. Look at that number, 20. He admits to breaking at least 20 oaths for her, compared to the 2 that he accuses her of breaking. The scale of his own deception is just staggering. And these weren't small promises, These were fundamental lies about her very character. He swore she was kind, that she was loving, truthful, and constant, all while the evidence, everything he saw with his own 2 eyes, was screaming the exact opposite. So with that, he finally confronts the whole truth. And this is the moment. He declares himself the most forsworn, the most perjured of them all. not just for loving her, but for systematically, willingly lying to himself about who she really was. So, where do you possibly go from a confession that raw? You'd expect some kind of revolution, right? Maybe forgiveness or at least a final goodbye. But no, the sequence takes this very strange turn. It just retreats into the cool, detached world of classical myth, almost as if the real life pain is just too much to face directly anymore. He tells this brief, elegant little story. So, Cupid, the god of love, falls asleep and leaves his fiery torch just lying around. A nymph comes along and dunks the torch in a cold spring, and poof, the spring instantly transforms into a therapeutic hot bath. So the speaker, sick with his love fever, goes there looking for a cure, and it doesn't work. Nothing happens. And the reason it fails is this perfect, bitter paradox. The healing bath was created by Cupid's fire, right? But the speaker's illness, his fever, was caused by a brand new fire, one freshly lit from his mistress's eyes. You can't cure a burn with the very same fire that caused it. And this brings the entire collection of 154 sonnets to its final inescapable point. It's a conclusion that offers no comfort, no escape, just a statement of a final, unchangeable law. And there it is, the last line of the entire sequence. Love has the power to change the world around it. It can literally heat cold water. But the world, the water, has no power to change love. The reckoning is complete. The debts have been tallied. And the fever is and always will be incurable.